Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the chat show where we talk about empathy, employment, and innovation every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern with leaders from the staffing industry, disability community, autism community, and we talk about how can we create employment for everyone, where focus is on employment, and there are two forces, empathy and employment, which is playing a key role in promoting employment for people on the autism spectrum and other visible and invisible disabilities. Today's my guest is Mark Fairbanks. He's a co-founder and executive director at Islands of Brilliance, and more importantly, social entrepreneur, an amazing human being doing some great work preparing innovative, creative artists on the autism spectrum and connecting them to the meaningful work. So with that, Mark, welcome to Chat Show, and thank you for your time and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nish. It's a pleasure being here, and we talk a lot, so it's just the two of us talking today and having a conversation, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. And we always, when I heard and when I learned from you about Islands of Brilliance, it's really, it blew my mind. And it was like, wow, this is something which is the world has not seen and experienced, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us how you got here and and a little bit about your background.
Sure. So my background, my career, my first career, I should say, was in advertising design and digital. So I worked as an art director, creative director for almost 30 years at agencies in Milwaukee, Minneapolis, and Chicago. Meanwhile, my wife, Margaret, who's also co-founder of Islands of Brilliance, she was a professional actress. She actually was hosting a show in Chicago. At the time, our youngest son, Harry, was identified on the autism spectrum at the age of 3. So I think our experience is similar to a lot of parents' experience, where it wasn't just the diagnosis, it was the prognosis that the neurologist gave us that, he's not going to be ready for first grade and don't plan on him going to college. So as a parent, you're struggling with the heartbreak and the anxiety of what is autism, how are we going to raise our son? But that just triggered with us like a defiance, like we'll determine what he's capable of. He's not even 3 years old. So that kind of set in motion, the story of Islands of Brilliance. So Margaret worked very diligently with Harry to help him communicate and learn, and found out that because his interest was in trains and Thomas the Tank Engine. Many people know individuals with autism often have a very narrow but very deep interest in something. So his thing was Thomas the Tank Engine. So she found out one day, because nothing was working to get him to make eye contact or communicate, that if she picked up a train and talked to it and he paid attention. So if she made any learning opportunity about trains, he would focus more and spend more time on it. So this was not by any means a miracle, but he made incremental growth. That actually inspired Margaret to go back to get her master's in special education and become a teacher. So at the time we were living in Minneapolis, I was a creative director up there. Harry, by around the age of 8 or 9, had made a lot of progress, and he started to become interested in what I was doing on the computer. He used technology to kind of consume videos and things like that, but he was interested in what I was doing using Adobe Illustrator. So he said, "Dad, can I try that?" So I gave him here's 5 minutes of instruction. Here's how you draw a box, circle, things like that. Play around with this. He calls me back a half hour later. He says, "Dad, come look what I did." And he's drawn this recognizable Thomas the Tank Engine character, Percy. And it's not just that it's actually pretty good, but he's figured out how to use tools I hadn't shown him. So he's intuitively figured out the software to make the stuff that he wants. So I've been a creative guy all my life. 2 weeks later, it's like, boom. So I go to Margaret, because she's, special ed teacher. What if we create a program, match kids on the spectrum with design professionals, allow them to use their area of interest to create projects? What kind of wraparound special ed support would we need? So we talked about it. The name was there, Islands of Brilliance. We launched it 4 years later. We didn't know whether design professionals would want to work with, children on the spectrum. And, so we tested it as a minimum viable product and charge 7 students, 7 kids. It was a big success, and it's, it's just had tremendous growth since then to now where we've had, touched the lives of not only hundreds of students and families, but hundreds of professionals in the industry who are inspired by how creative these students are, how quickly they pick up technology, how they think. So we talk about that when we talk about workforce development and changing perceptions of employers. We're doing it at a very experiential level where that one-to-one connection and helping these kids create these great projects that, often the professionals are blown away at just the fearlessness and passion that, our students have for their subject, that we're changing the dynamics around how individuals on the spectrum are viewed from a creativity level.
This is so cool. This is a true reflection of your social entrepreneurial spirit, right? Mm-hmm. You took the opportunity and how can you convert it into an organization which is really impacting hundreds and thousands of individuals on the spectrum. You mentioned something really interesting. It has inspired professionals. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that there are some great stories I have learned from you, how some of those things has really given real aha moments to those experts in that creativity space.
Right. And that was the question. It's like, would creative people are busy people. They work a lot of hours in an agency, right? Mm-hmm. Like, God, are they going to want to do this? It has been the complete opposite. More often than not, they're saying, we're getting more out of this than the kids are. What they see is unbridled creativity, a passion for subject matter, fearless creativity, connecting dots and ideas in ways that they kind of are blown away by, because, so often I think as professionals, we get into our routines, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in the creative, we go to the same sources for inspiration. This is a completely different source of inspiration for them. So, we're collecting data too on what that experience is for our mentors. They go back to the workplace with better communication, empathy, patience, for their coworkers. They all feel they come back with stronger leadership skills. They all have a changed perception of what autism is, from when they came in. And our retention rate for our mentors is just, we check everyone. It's like 70-75%. So they've worked with kids. We try to keep like good teams together too, just like in the agency. It's like if 2 people are working together really well, try to keep them together because there's that growth and relationship there. So it's been, I guess we're like beloved by the creative community for the experience that it provides for professionals.
Yeah, no, this is great. You mentioned something, repeated work, right? And the whole world, and mainly employers are very much familiar with the success when they hire people on the spectrum, for repeated work or in IT and technology work. But this is something, creative work is a whole different ballgame, right? Yeah. Complex tools like Adobe and use these tools and think out of box, which is of course their strength, but then convert that into. So tell me, how are they really? What are your thoughts? How is this really working and has been successful?
Yeah. I think, a lot of the stories, the media narrative, if you will, the last few years is about, the growth of neurodiverse talent in IT positions. Mm-hmm. I think that's fantastic.
That's great.
I think the story that's not being told is the one that we're seeing, right? Yeah. Apple had the great campaign, Think Different, right? And I referenced that a couple of years ago. I gave a talk at a creative industry conference, a 3% conference. Like, if you want to hire people who think different, then hire people who are wired to think different, right?
Love it.
What we see in our students is, because of how they perceive the world, they therefore form ideas in ways that are completely different from us mere neurotypicals, us mere mortals, right? So we have to start recognizing that. And I think more often than not, the way that innovative ideas happen is that there may be an idea that's way, way out here on the edge, right? And the actual solution is a little bit closer, but you need to go way out to the edge in order to drag that innovative solution out from the center. That's what our community does. That's what these kids do. They go in places that you don't expect. They recombine ideas in completely new ways. They come up with totally blue sky thinking. And I think if the industries, whether it's a creative industry or even innovation industries, are not looking at neurodiverse talent for the way that they think differently and the way that they think creatively, they're not really seeing the opportunity in this community. And that's what we're seeing. And, you and I are trying to work on some of this stuff too. It's like, let's have a new narrative to neurodiverse talent, a narrative around creativity and innovations and solutions and things like that, because we both believe that there's a lot there.
Yeah, no. So talking about us and some of the work we are doing, would you like to share some of those activities, how that program, that 1 month program work,
Sure.
and what is the outcome from this great strategy and learning experience for this amazing untapped talent?
Right. So, a couple of years ago, it was the first, 5 years or so, we did what we call the foundation workshops, which are a lot of Adobe Creative Cloud software design work. And as we saw the talent and skill level of our students progressing, we thought we need kind of an academy level program. So in 2019, we launched what we call Digital Academy. So it was allowing students to work on product-based experiences. So those included building virtual reality projects, building a game design, and this year too, we're partnering with Rangam on a project. We're partnering with Kohl's on a project in June that we're very excited about. So it's giving our students the opportunity to learn on a product-based environment. So real workflows, real collaboration, real expectations with deliverables. So it's very different from your traditional, I guess you would say on-the-job training, because it's more open and allows them to explore different skill sets, explore things like design thinking that you don't normally see, and come to solutions using their unique gifts in a way, and then build a portfolio, right? Build some sample work, and there's we're just getting a ton of interest in it right now. It's exciting to be working with you. The Kohl's project, I'm speaking next week, because it's Autism Acceptance Month to a group at Kohl's. So we just see going forward the potential of this program and the capabilities that it allows our students to demonstrate and then build portfolios for them is really fantastic. So we're excited about it.
We are excited about this too. Let me tell you, at Rangam, we are all excited about this project where your students from Islands of Brilliance is going to work and help us redesign the user experience for neurodiverse talent when they're looking for a job. How do we get connected to them in a better way so that there is a success, win-win on both sides? Because we as Mark, as you know, at Rangam, we believe in by the people for the people, right? Concept, and it's nothing better than individuals on the spectrum designing something, helping other individuals on the spectrum find meaningful job. So we thank you for your great program and letting us participate and work with you and your team. So thank you for the opportunity. Talking about innovation and social innovation, you touched a little bit. Tell us your work. I know you are running some workshops on social innovation. Tell us a little bit of on your work in that area.
My current side gig, as if I need one. No, I say that jokingly. I'm at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I'm their entrepreneur in residence for social innovation, and that has developed into a wonderful relationship. We have a great relationship with UWM in general, but social innovation you hear more and more about the last 5 to 10 years, and there are different definitions of it. The definition I use is using methodologies like systems thinking, design thinking, business model canvas, lean startup methodology, using those methodologies to address, the biggest problems we face in our communities. Obviously, my passion is around neurodiversity and autism and finding, independence and employment for this community. So we are very much a social impact organization. Part of that, part of social innovation that makes it different from, I guess, your traditional nonprofit approach is looking at it through a business lens and finding, earned revenue, so that unlike a traditional nonprofit, you're not just reliant on things like fundraising events and individual donors and foundation grants. So we are still a nonprofit and we still use that, but we're looking at this year where our earned revenue will actually be the number one source of revenue for our organization. So my role at UWM is bringing in other social entrepreneurs for conversations like this. I do it monthly on Friday mornings each month, and it's been wonderful hearing the stories. It's very what I love about it is social entrepreneurs, generally all have some type of personal connection to the work that they're doing, something that in their life triggered why they're doing what they are, and they generally are very down to earth and humble about it, very empathetic, because of the work they're doing, which I find different from a lot of the for-profit entrepreneur talks I attend. So the learnings for the student community at UWM who's interested in entrepreneurship, suddenly social innovation and social impact is now trickling into every aspect of startup and entrepreneurship at UWM, which is a wonderful outcome. Like, actually, hey, we need to look at these things in a sustainable way and how it impacts the community and how it benefits people beyond just the profit margin and the P&L. So it's been that relationship. I've been there 3 years now, has now grown into where we are. We just submitted a major grant for a research lab at UWM that would partner with Islands of Brilliance to really start putting academic research behind what we're seeing as far as neurodiverse creativity and the relationship between mentors. So we're really excited about that, as well as growth in other areas within departments at UWM. So I think for us, having that university connection and relationship, which has been fostered through me being the entrepreneur in residence there, is just it's kind of a dream come true for me. It's like 4 years I was thinking, God, it would be great to be doing this with the university and things like that. And now, we were talking about this, before we got on. It's like everything takes time. The amount of patience you need for things to develop and grow and things like that. But it's fun to kind of look back on, like, I was thinking about this 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's all happening.
Yeah. And as we talked earlier, it's a process, right? And the beautiful thing about social entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurs and social enterprises like yours, and I consider Rangam also as a social enterprise, where we have a focus. Our mission has a social impact. Of course, it's a for-profit organization, but the beautiful thing about the social enterprise is it has a dual return, right? Return financial and also the society. So you touched a little bit on that. You mentioned something that how when you started, how many students and what you are experiencing. Would you please share that, like what you are experiencing now and how fulfilling that experience or your observation?
Yeah, it's COVID. Like, I don't know how many students total we've done, because COVID has really, like, for us, has changed our business model in positive ways.
Yeah.
Because we had to immediately pivot to a distance learning platform. We were fortunate to get some national press last April through Soledad O'Brien's Matter of Fact. So we went from really serving students in southeastern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, to suddenly having kids from 12 different states participating.
Beautiful.
I was just doing it because I'm preparing. We have a board meeting next Monday, so I was kind of looking back at year-over-year growth, and we came into 2020 with a ton of momentum. We had our best year. Previous year, we felt we were busy all the time. I was looking back at the calendar. I'm like, when were we running program? Because we are running programming Monday through Saturday now, like every day. So the amount of access and frequency and now the building of community between students, because they're seeing each other so often, has been off the charts. Yeah. So you take, and I think this is part of social entrepreneurship too. It's like you take a negative and you flip it on its head, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people were paralyzed by, like, how are we going to run our business? Like, we took 2 days, like literally took the weekend, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then we're going to go, we like our things, like we have to be there for the community. Everybody's freaking out, especially, our families with their students. How is this? Like, we have to be a light for them. Like, we have to be out there immediately. It's interesting how you always pull on your old thread. Like, we produced a TV show where Margaret was the host, like 4 days after everything closed, because we needed to be there. Like our kids needed a sense of normalcy. They needed that friendly face. They needed somebody to say, like, it's going to be all right. So we responded with that, and then we developed, the online programming, and this, like, we'll be running virtual programming forever now. Our challenge now is, like, how do we bring the in-person stuff? How do we reintegrate that? Yeah. And it's just, so it's been, I'm so proud of what we did in the last year. It's incredible. Our staff.
That is a true reflection of innovation, right? How you and your organization has flipped this whole business model overnight and converted this challenging time into something which is going to now work forever, this new model, and with bigger and
it's a huge scaling opportunity.
Huge scaling. Beautiful. Oh my God. It's amazing. So, and of course, it reflects your passion for the community and really your willingness to change and adopt new ways of making a social impact. So thank you for that. Now you mentioned, I know you have very wide experience working with neurotypical talent or as well as neurodiverse creative talent. Tell us what are the key takeaways and what your observations and experience, which I would love to have other creators and creative directors learn from your experience.
It like, I've always like, why does this work? And a few years ago we produced this video that was called "We're Not So Different." Because what I find is, like, as creatives, we're always kind of on the edges, and we're kind of geeky, and we're kind of like maybe don't fit in, and we're a little bit rebels and things like that. And so our students are just that a little bit more. Like, our professionals empathize. Like, that's not that different than I am. That's why it works. Like, and they, and our professionals are, like, inspired by, like, how much knowledge these kids will have about certain subject, whether it's anime or, Marvel films or, any type of transportation or history, like all the things that they work on. So they're blown away by, because, part of the creative industry, or if you're working for an agency, is like, you have to kind of dive in and know the client. Well, these kids are subject matter experts on every, it's funny the amount of subjects we have in, whether it's like we have one student who's completely into like retail history, so we'll know everything about Toys R Us or Best Buy, like all these things in the projects. So that's the thing. I think they just see it's a reflection of themselves, and they just love that the passion and the fearlessness that our neurodiverse students bring to the table when they're working on, because they're collaborating on projects together. They end up learning more about subjects than they ever would have known based on working with our kids. So I think that's the mechanisms for creativity and research and passion are very similar, probably more pronounced in our neurodiverse students, which you would expect.
Oh my God, that is really, I literally had chills in my body when I heard that, their passion for certain products. Just imagine, we all as a society, if we can tap into that passion and their creativity and out of box thinking for that product, just unbelievable, amazing opportunity. So really very truly creative at the same time. I would say combination of creativity and social entrepreneurship. That's what I see in all the work you do. So Mark, and as we talked about this earlier, that partnership in this area is the key, right? No one individual or organization. Share your thoughts on how you and your organizations are partnering with various other organizations and sharing the best practices or your learnings.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate, at least locally here in Milwaukee, to partner with great, both corporations and nonprofits to give our students opportunities to shine. Right? We've worked with Summerfest is a big music festival here. We've done workshops with them where they've taken artwork and produced T-shirts that were sold during the festival. Same thing with 88.9 Radio Milwaukee. They brought us in to create wearables for one of their fundraising drives. So I think it's you mentioned earlier, Nish, a lot of times autism is invisible, right? Our thing is like, we want to make it visible. We want to partner with the biggest, most visible organizations we can in our community and give our students the stage that they deserve, right? That, we're just looking to provide opportunities that too often they are not given, because they're not given credit for their capabilities. They're not often included. Like, yes, they are in the classroom, but are they actually engaged? Like, we have a tremendous support from the community that engages with our students, that gives them this platform to show their passion and their skill, and we celebrate that. So that's always been our philosophy is, let's meet students where they are. Let's give them the tools and resources and the support they need, and let's see where it goes. And I don't know where we are in that journey. We made a lot of progress, and this journey has been, I can't even describe it. It's, the depth and breadth of the human experience of this is just, there aren't words for it. So, we still have a lot of work to do, though.
Well, let me. I think I can describe this in not words, but I can describe that in all your videos on your website. Some of these videos I have seen. Oh my God, it speaks on its own this true story of each and every individual. So some of those videos, for viewers, if you have not visited the website, just please feel free to go to the website, and some of these great stories are out there captured in a video form. Really amazing, and some amazing creative work by the students. So we have, Mark, now a few minutes left. I would like to ask you a last question. Maybe any empathetic story or your vision for the Islands of Brilliance, where where are you going and the organization, and what is really needed
Yeah.
in this creative space where people are really looking for creativity, and you have it, and you and your organization has this amazing talent. So what is your vision?
You know, the way we look at you know what we're doing around trying to change that dynamic around the unemployment rate. You know, that's that higher level workforce development. But you know, we're realizing like a lot of the work that we do focuses on that quality of life that's, you know, kind of described by Autism Society of America, and that's, you know, we're using creativity as the opportunity to accelerate those quality of life skills, giving them voice, providing community, you know, giving them opportunities to build self-confidence. Those are all critical things in order to get to the point where we start talking about employment, right? We can't just talk about employment or focus on that. We have to kind of, you know, build from the ground up. So that's why we start so early at age 8, and you know, and it's a lifelong learning for our students. So, you know, the growth that we see in so many of our, and I'm always going to call them kids, you know, some of them are in their mid-20s now, to see that, you know, we've been at this 8-9 years. A lot of them were, you know, who've been with us for a while, were 13, 14 when they started. Like they're starting to get their first jobs. It looks different. Like my son Harry now, he just started a new job this week. It's 20 hours, you know, working for one company. He works 10 hours for us in our Brilliance studios. We have another student, Sarah, who's, you know, working in production for a printing company. We have another student who's going to be starting at one of the hospitals, not in a creative, but it's like they're starting to gain self-confidence and independence and moving on, and lots of kids in college and things like that. So, you know, we're just excited about the work we're doing in the future and the ability to partner now with, you know, pretty much anybody. We've all learned that we can work with anybody in the world now. And so the next, you know, the next 2, 3, 5 years are going to be really exciting as far as where we're headed with the program and with the partnerships we're developing.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Mark, really, thank you for opening up the doors of opportunities for people on the autism spectrum in a totally different areas. And I know this is not new. You've been doing this for 10, 15 years. But we all know that now this is the time, and my tagline is time is now. And now when everybody is paying attention to this really untapped talent, it's all up to us how we collaborate, partner, and work with these individuals and help them get this meaningful job. So thank you for doing some very creative, amazing work in this space and taking the really lead, because this is the only organization I know. Couple of other organizations where they are also working on creativity, but the way your focus is on how you are preparing them with the creativity, that is very unique and is needed in this space. So thank you for all your contribution. Thank you for your time. And from me and my team, wish you all the best and a great success in coming months and years. And please continue doing this amazing work and bringing this talent to workforce.
You know I will. Thanks, Nish. I love the conversation and for giving me the opportunity on the platform and talking to everybody today. It's been a pleasure. We could go on for another half hour.
I'm pretty sure. Yes. Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We will continue our conversation very similar to this on empathy, employment, and innovation, and to promote employment for everyone. Thank you again. Stay safe, healthy. Thank you. Good evening. Take care.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.